Carolyn, let me start with you. What did you make of that Lloyd Blankfein tweet?
Well, in many ways, this is no surprise. Here we are 17 months away from the day we are going to leave the European Union, and firms are having to put contingency plans in place, and the financial services sector is very much at the sharp end of this. But I think what it highlights is the importance of urgency in the talks, and the really important urgency around getting trade talks and transition talks started before the year end.
I mean, Lloyd Blankfein is quite a measured guy, isn't it? He must be pretty ticked off to send something like that out on social media.
Well, I think that if you're sitting in a business now, and it's not just financial services, it's retail, it's food, it's many sectors, you are looking at that potential cliff edge and you're thinking, how do I prepare now? And it's not what firms want to do. I mean, if you look at the city, it is still where financial services want to be. The depth of talent, the infrastructure, it is a fantastic place to do business. And so, no, this isn't what firms want to do. And that's why urgent progress really is top of the list.
Well, Francis, let me bring in you at this point. You and Carolyn put out a joint statement last month urging the UK and the EU to guarantee citizens' rights post-Brexit. It clearly looks like this is a bit of a stumbling block right now in Brussels as we speak.
Well, it was good to hear more warm words from the Prime Minister on migrants being welcome, but the truth is many of the migrant workers contacting the TUC, those working in Britain, feel that they're not, and they're voting with their feet. I think what we need to hear from the Prime Minister is an unconditional guarantee on migrant workers' rights. It's a problem for real families who have worked hard, lived here for years, brought up children, but it's increasingly a problem for our public services and our industry too, with vacancies and gaps opening up because people are leaving.
So what do you think Theresa May has left to do? What can she do?
Well, I think this is very much about a call to the mutual interest of the EU and the UK. I think tone is very important, and we really welcomed the tone in the Florence speech, keeping that going. I think that actually being a little bit clearer about some of the proposals that we've made around transition and around citizens and writing them down, I think that would be valuable. But I think there is also now an important flexibility that we would be wanting to and hoping to see from the European side as well.
I mean, sorry.
Well, I think there's a problem here. I think if you're sat across a negotiating table, you need to know that the person you're facing has the authority of the team that they're representing. I think we've seen increasing divisions, not just within the Cabinet, but within the Conservative Party. And it's perhaps time that the Prime Minister thought of a more radical approach and have a team that is working for the whole country, not just her party, that is cross-party, does involve business, does involve unions, but starts trying to find the kind of deal that is for the whole of Britain and one that isn't just about one part of the Conservative Party fighting another party.
Do you think Labour people would be receptive to that?
Well, if I was in the Prime Minister's shoes, I think I would put that on the table. We're going to keep hitting problems as long as the EU are not reassured that the UK negotiators have the authority to do the kind of deal that will protect jobs and livelihoods and workers' rights. And that must be our priority.
What do you make of that, Carolyn? Would you go along with that? Do you support that?
Oh, I think unity in the UK position is absolutely vital, and we do need to see that in the weeks ahead. The idea of something that is absolutely putting jobs, growth, prosperity first, I think, is absolutely central. So, interesting idea. I think worth thinking about.
Some would say, though, I mean, Theresa May made a pretty open offer to the rest of the EU in her Florence speech. She offered all sorts of compromises. It doesn't seem to have won her any credit at all with the EU.
Well, I think that it was welcomed, and I think perhaps it has begun to move the mood music, but I think it is a body blow that we're not getting agreement around sufficient progress tomorrow, unless a miracle happens overnight. And that actually we're on a countdown now between now and the end of the year, where firms really are having to take big decisions, and it is going to be about jobs, it is going to be about living standards and livelihoods. So the Florence speech was a really good step forward. And it needs to be the blueprint, I think, for going forward. But it needs to be spelled out, made clear, and crucially, transition agreed by the end of the year. that's the thing that would make the biggest difference.
There was certainly a shift in tone, but the question is substance. And at the moment, of course, we still haven't seen the government publish impact assessments about what the different scenarios and different possible options will do to jobs and real companies. This is about people's livelihoods.
But a lot of the chatter out of Brussels is that we're actually quite close to a deal, which does give rise to speculation that the EU may just be stringing us along to try and wring a bit more money out of us.
I think, on the contrary, that the EU may be trying to provide some space for the UK to come out of its corner. I think that original Lancaster speech tied up Britain in red lines, too many red lines, when actually we needed all options on the table and a clear set of priorities that this is about jobs in Britain and jobs in Europe too, and that's what we ought to have in common.
Any hope, do you think, of getting a transitional deal at least being discussed this side of Christmas?
I think there really is, and that is what the prize is now. And I think what we'll be looking for tomorrow is some signals of that. I think we've seen some positive noises from Angela Merkel this evening. We do need that roadmap, and the idea of having a transition agreement in place by the end of the year would make such a difference to jobs and livelihoods both here in the European Union.
Last word to you, Francis. Jeremy Corbyn was applauded by European socialists this afternoon in Brussels, but do we really have much of an idea of what he's proposing in terms of Brexit?
I think Labour's position has been very clear that we need the transitional agreement that Carolyn and the TUC have been arguing for, and we need to be realistic that that has to be about playing by the rules. We haven't got time to negotiate a whole new agreement for that transition. So we need to stay in the customs union and the single market for that transition, so we can have time to focus on the eventual deal that we want to see.
All right, Francis O'Grady, Carolyn Fairbairn, appreciate you both joining me. Good to see you both. Thank you.